Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Chanzo. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 13th of July. Sri Lankan President flees to Maldives. Protesters storm Prime Minister's office as state of emergency declared. Monsoon rains wreak havoc in India and Pakistan, thousands affected. And BBC report alleges UK special forces killed dozens of Afghan detainees. And now for all the details. Hours after Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country on Wednesday after a people's uprising over a devastating economic crisis, hundreds of protesters stormed into the Prime Minister's office demanding his resignation. PM Ranil Wickremesinghe took over as acting president in Gotabaya's absence and declared a state of emergency. But this did not deter protesters from occupying government buildings. The parliament is scheduled to elect a new president on July 20.
Hundreds of angry Sri Lankans clashed with riot police and stormed into the Prime Minister's office on Wednesday demanding his resignation. Hours after President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country for Maldives before he was due to step down after a people's uprising over devastating economic crisis. The president's flight brought an end to the rule of the powerful Rajapaksa clan that has dominated politics in the South Asian country for the last 2 decades. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, who took over as interim president in Gotabaya's absence, declared a state of emergency and clamped a curfew in surrounding areas. But that could not deter the protesters, who breached his office compound despite tear gas shelling and unfurled the national flag atop the building. The protesters see Wickremesinghe as an ally of the Rajapaksa clan and want him out.
Ranil Wickremesinghe failed Prime Minister. We all people don't president.
In contrast to the street battles at the Prime Minister's office, hundreds of people queued peacefully to tour Gotabaya's official residence and the Secretariat just a few miles away. Parliamentary Speaker Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena in a video statement announced that the new president will be elected by the Parliament as per schedule on July 20. He said Rajapaksa telephoned him saying that his resignation letter will be sent to him by tonight. Local media reported Gotabaya Rajapaksa, once a feared former soldier, was likely to leave for Singapore from Maldives. Earlier, India categorically denied speculative media reports that New Delhi facilitated Gotabaya's travel and termed them baseless. It said India will continue to support Sri Lankans through democratic means. Protests against the economic crisis had simmered for months, with people blaming the Rajapaksas and their allies for runaway inflation, corruption, and a severe lack of fuel and medicines.
Several South Asian countries, including India and Pakistan, are experiencing monsoon rains leading to floods, waterlogging that has disrupted normal life and displaced thousands. Amid incessant rainfall in western Indian state of Gujarat, situation remained grim on Wednesday, with roads submerged and rainwater inundating several districts.
Heavy rains and overflowing rivers in India's western Gujarat state have resulted in severe waterlogging and flood-like situation. People are facing the wrath of nature with their property, grains and other food items being damaged in floods. Residents in Navsari district of the state, which has been reeling under flooding, were forced to wade through floodwater as high as their waist on Wednesday, as their houses remain inundated. A total of 9,500 people have been evacuated from the affected areas in Navsari district so far.
हर एक घर में देखो, हर एक घर में 6-6 फुट 5-5 फुट पानी रहता है और हर एक के घर में सब कुछ खराब हो गया है. किसी के घर में टीवी खराब हो गया है, तो किसी के घर में पलंग खराब हो गया, गद्दा खराब हो गया, सोफा खराब हो गया, सब बिक गया है. किसी के घर में खाने का गेहूं खराब हो गया, किसी के वहाँ चावल खराब हो गया. टोटल और बहुत सारे नुकसान बहुत है.
Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, who reviewed the situation flood-affected areas on Wednesday, instructed officials to provide all necessary help and facilities to those affected. Meanwhile, At least 6 people died in rain-related incidents over the past 24 hours and 95 people were evacuated as heavy rains battered several districts of western Maharashtra state. In Pune city of Maharashtra, overflowing sewers inundated the houses of residents, forcing them to live in an unhealthy environment in the absence of any facilities. Extreme weather in South Asia has become more frequent in recent years, and environmentalists warn that climate change could lead to even more serious disasters. In Pakistan's financial capital Karachi, authorities struggled to clear floodwaters on Tuesday after torrential rains caused widespread flooding and damage earlier this week. Moderate to heavy showers over the past week has inundated parts of the city, with water entering homes and shops in low-lying areas.
In news from Pakistan, ruling PML-N Vice-President Maryam Nawaz has claimed former Premier Imran Khan's opposition PTI party will be thrown out of Pakistani politics after the July 17 Punjab by-poll. Addressing a campaign rally on Tuesday, she called PTI an enemy of Punjab and exuded confidence that her party will retain power in the province.
PML-N Vice-President Maryam Nawaz on Tuesday said ousted Premier Imran Khan-led PTI party will be thrown out of politics after the July 17 by-poll in Punjab, as she predicted her party's victory in the province. Addressing a campaign rally in Jhang area, Maryam said her party's competition was not against arch rival PTI, but with incompetence and inflation. Anticipating people's anger over frequent price hike, she reassured that the government has taken all the tough decisions and now there will be good news soon. She exuded confidence people will throw out PTI for Punjab's development.
पंजाब तुम्हें पहचान चुका है, पंजाब तुम्हें वोट नहीं देगा इंशाल्लाह, बल्कि 17 जुलाई को इंशाल्लाह पंजाब तुम्हें उठाकर पंजाब की हदूद से बाहर फेंकेगा। और अब रो रहा है कि धांधली हो रही है, बल्कि आज कह रहा था धांधला हो रहा है।
Meanwhile, berating the incumbent government, PTI chairman Imran Khan in his campaign rally claimed that the PML-N-led coalition government had not come to reduce inflation but to abolish the corruption cases registered against its leaders. Declaring the upcoming by-elections in Punjab province a fight for real independence, Khan urged the people to support him against the turncoats and the thieves.
Moving on, a top planning department official has claimed that due to lack of funding from Pakistani government, reconstruction projects have remained stalled in the 2005 earthquake-hit areas of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Locals have long raised concern that a complete overhaul is required, but the government pays no heed to the dilapidated infrastructure.
Abid Ghani Mir, Director Planning of SERA, the State Earthquake Reconstruction and Rehabilitation Agency, has claimed infrastructure projects in 2005 quake-hit areas of Pakistan-administered Kashmir are at a standstill due to lack of funding from the Pakistan government. He said instead buildings of unfinished projects are being destroyed despite spending billions of rupees. Locals have long claimed after the calamity, several schools in the region still hold classes in the open, while poor condition of roads continue to create daily travel problems for locals in the illegally occupied region. They said a complete overhaul is required, but the government pays no heed to the dilapidated infrastructure.
So, as I've said, since last year and a half, we haven't received any development funds. In the meantime, the cost has increased more than 30%. This 30 billion has not incorporated that cost, so that portfolio will also swell.
Residents say it has been nearly 17 years since the earthquake devastated the Himalayan region, but scores of victims are still awaiting rehabilitation. They blame the local stooge government only makes hollow promises, while Islamabad diverts funds given by international community for reconstruction and development.
The BBC British Broadcasting Corporation investigation said on Tuesday that commandos in Britain's elite Special Air Service SAS Corps killed at least 54 Afghans in suspicious circumstances, but the military chain of command concealed concerns. The 4-year investigation found that unarmed Afghan men were routinely shot dead in cold blood by SAS troops during nighttime raids during the long war, and weapons were planted on them to justify the crimes. The report noted that senior officials, including General Mark Carleton-Smith, who headed UK Special Forces at the time, were aware of concerns within the SAS about the operations but failed to report them to military police. Many reports were published earlier over war crimes committed by foreign troops during the 20 years of military missions in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defence said prior investigations into the conduct of UK forces in Afghanistan found insufficient evidence to bring charges. The ministry, in a series of tweets on Wednesday, said that the Royal Military Police have written to Panorama and other various media organizations about the crimes allegedly committed by British armed forces in Afghanistan and has requested the material is provided at the earliest opportunity so it can be reviewed. Farmers in Rajouri district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir territory have taken up organic farming and are growing vegetables and fruits, which have boosted their incomes after facing tough times during COVID-19 pandemic. People living in far-flung areas of Rajouri district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir territory have opted for organic farming to boost their incomes after facing tough times due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Locals in Rajouri are dependent on farming business for their livelihood. The farmers of the Dungi block are growing organic vegetables like pumpkins, cucumber and bitter gourd, etc. and selling them on large scale in local markets. As the farmers do not use urea or other chemical fertilizers, they believe that vegetables and fruits grown organically help to boost immunity.
और हम यहाँ काफ़ी सालों से ये सब्ज़ी लगा रहे हैं, तकरीबन 10-15-20 साल से हम यहाँ देसी सब्ज़ी लगा रहे हैं और ऑर्गेनिक सब्ज़ी लगा रहे हैं और इसकी बहुत डिमांड है। हमें देखकर और भी लोग जो है इसकी तरफ और खेती की तरफ आ रहे हैं और ज़्यादा सब्जियाँ उगा रहे हैं और इसकी बहुत डिमांड है।
The growth story of organic farming is unfolding with increasing demand in India. In a world battered by the COVID-19 pandemic, the demand for healthy and safe food is already showing an upward trend. And farmers believe that it is an opportune moment to be captured for a win-win situation for them, consumers and the environment. India's eastern Odisha state on Tuesday celebrated the 8th Rasagola Dibasa, a day dedicated to famous sweet Rasagola or Rasgulla on the occasion of Niladri Bijay, which marks the return of Hindu god Lord Jagannath after the 9-day-long annual sojourn to the Gundija temple.
India's eastern Odisha state celebrated its 8th Rasagola Dibas on Tuesday, a festival in honour of the region's famous sweet syrup-filled cottage cheese ball on the occasion of Niladri Bijay, which marks the return of Hindu god Lord Jagannath from his maternal aunt's home. Rasagullas, also known as Rasgullas, for all sizes were seen at the festival and were offered to the idols of Lord Jagannath, his brother Balbhadra and sister Subhadra. The ceremony was inaugurated by Mayor of Bhubaneswar Sulochana Das, who was the guest of honour and a member of the Legislative Assembly Shashi Bhushan Behra.
जब से रथ यात्रा हुआ है तब से ये रसगुल्ला का जो प्रसाद चढ़ा हुआ है वहाँ जो प्रभु जगन्नाथ जी जब वापस आते हैं रथ यात्रा से तो वो उनके बीवी जो लक्ष्मी माँ है उनको उसका जो मतलब मानभंजन के लिए ये रसगुल्ला दिया जाता है.
Rasagola Dibas, which began in 2015, is an annual festival celebrated in Bhubaneswar city. The sweet, which is popular across the country, is believed to have religious origins in Odisha.
यहाँ विश्व रसगुल्ला दिवस आज हम लोग मनाए हैं. ये 8वीं बार हमने मनाया है क्योंकि 2015 से ये शुरू हुआ था.
According to the beliefs, when Hindu Lord Jagannath returned from a chariot festival, his consort Lakshmi got furious at him for not taking her along. Lord Jagannath then presented her with rasgullas to win her back. And since then, people celebrate the day as Rasagola Dibas.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @Asia Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.